Good morning, everybody. It's the pollinator. Um, oh boy, what a week this has been. Um, I have some really good news to share, but instead I'm going to talk about something else because it was on my mind before that happened. Um, and that is this. Well, the name of this video log is called Angry Black Man. So, I may vary that when I upload it, but see, for the first time in my life, I acknowledged that I am an angry black man, and I did so to my best friend, and it was very eye-opening because I've pretty much been in that space, that headspace, since 2016, since before the idiot got elected into office. And while I cannot speak for other countries, all I can do is speak for my experiences in the United States. And because, everybody's crying wolf for their own particular, for lack of a better word, race in this country. It seems that everybody is screaming, well, my race had a history, my race has issues, mine has this, mine has that in this country. And while I can empathize somewhat with all of the conversations that are going on around the world, trying to get people's focus over here, get everybody's focus over there, take the focus off of the fact that Moors in the United States are losing their civil rights very, very quickly, and have been doing that underneath the experiences of all the other people of color in this country. And so I am not in a kumbaya state of mind where I can quickly forgive that which is pretty unforgivable things going on in this nation. I'll just give you a for instance. Most people know that the clown and the administration is going after immigrants in this Hispanic immigrants in this country, and the children of the adult immigrants in this country. And what I find so interesting and what makes me angry about that, a little bit angry about that, not only the fact that asshole can't seem to stay put, he wants to go after everybody who is not white in this country. But here's the thing. When black people got separated from their families, which happened in the latter 1960s, nobody screamed, nobody hollered. Nobody does much of anything when we get killed in this country by the Ku Klux cops. I don't see any of those people that are screaming foul about the immigrants in this country screaming equally as loud when we have day after day after day incidents happening to us in the United States. They're not screaming as loudly for us. People never have. We are the only ones that are barking up that tree And it's very telling. Go after the Jews, see what happens. How many people scream and holler and are loud. Go after the Native Americans and see how many people rally to their aid. And I'm speaking of one incident in particular with the water, with the pipeline going through a Native American territory. When children are shooting, when these little white bastards are shooting children in schools, people start yelling and screaming. When, yeah. See, when Stephon Clark got murdered, you didn't hear all these thousands or millions of people screaming about that, except those that were in Sacramento and black people around this country. But all of the other POCs and white people were not screaming loudly over the death of that man or any of us that get killed in this country. They're not screaming and yelling every time some of those people calling the police on us being in their neighborhoods. Nobody's yelling and screaming when racists are allowed to call us out our name on social media. In fact, people will jump on the side of those racists, or their silence is just condoning it. But nobody's jumping up and down, screaming and yelling. They're real quick to pull up dirt on Moors, African Americans, blacks, whatever you want to call melanated people in this country. Nobody's jumping up and screaming. In fact, they do the opposite. They blame the victim. They victimize the victims in this country when you are black. But you don't see millions of people or politicians jump to our aid. And the very same people that are being dogged out by the idiot's new target. They weren't anywhere around when stuff is happening to us. So that's one side of why I am an angry black man. The other side is the fact that I am a transgender man. And I see so many stigmas associated with that, where we are not, stigmas and sexism by the cisgender community. Cisgender black community, cisgender white community, transgender white community, transgender POC excluding Moors. There is sexism, there is oppression, there is discrimination, there is just a system of pushbacks, silent pushbacks going on in this nation when it comes to us. I see it in my personal life all the time. I see it when certain aspects of the black communities want us to rally with them. Ignore that we are part of the LGBT community, but rally because we are black. But rally in silence of the LGBT part, Q plus part. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to hear it. I've reached out to members of that community in many different aspects. Not only physically reached out, but reached out through the internet, reached out through social media, reached out to publications, reached out to organizations just reach out. And while they want me to be part of them, they don't want to acknowledge that I am a trans man. And the silent whisper, which isn't so silent, is glaring to me. It's so silent, it's loud. Is that we don't consider you a man, and we don't consider you a woman. So we get cut out of the women's movement. Oh, we can jump on their bandwagon. Oh, they want us to jump over there. But they don't want to acknowledge us as men. It's the women's side. On the men's side, they don't want to jump out there and acknowledge us as men either. So I find myself once again in a very precarious situation, position in this country, where even, I would like to say something about a particular family member, but I'm not going to put him on blast. But I would say that that it's very difficult with all these stigmas going on, with all this sexism going on, with all this transphobia going on, that many of us have had to resort to embracing ourselves, or having a group of people who embrace us, while others simply want to put their foot in our neck. And it doesn't matter whether they are cisgender or transgender. The mood in this country is so divided. Social media is absolutely destroying people's ability to establish real relationships, real friendships. It's superficial at best. Now, I'm not saying the whole thing is. I'm just saying the majority of it is. Social media has silently and secretly trying to redefine what real friendships look like, what they sound like, what they feel like, what they're like. And then there's a whole lot of pettiness going on inside of all communities, let alone the one nearest to my heart, which is the Black community. There's a lot of wannabe leaders. There's a lot of fake leaders too. A lot of people who are offering expertise, but charging you for it, convincing you that you are paying little to nothing for it, but you are. And they're just taking advantage of capitalism, basically. Be it the Black community, be it the PLC community, be it the white community. I wrote down this phrase because this is the silence, the words that I'm going to put on the silence that I've been experiencing for the last couple of years, which is that Black trans men are a disgrace to the race. See, people don't have to say that out loud to show that out loud. Showing. Talk is cheap. 90% of what you're doing, 90% of life is in what you do, not what you say. And then what you say better match what you do. And what you do better match what you say. Or people who are perceptive can see straight through that you're not walking what you're talking. that you speak of inclusion while not being inclusive. See, I don't talk about inclusion if I don't intend on including you. I don't pretend to want you on my team while excluding you at the same time. I just won't have you on my team. I'm not going to hurt your feelings or disrespect you like that. Even though I do not include every single kind of person on this planet. I do not. My new organization is for binary people only. So it is not inclusive of non-binary people. And I would rather have it that way. Okay, gender non-conforming and non-binary people. And I made it that way because of the focus and the emphasis so much on the transgender part that it would just literally take away from the intention of TMBLM being about our blackness. Now, yeah, and I don't want them in there arguing and stirring up shit around their fucking pronouns and all that stuff. Because while I totally get it that they are valid, I also totally get that many of them are intersectional feminists that have issues with men. So, yeah, they want to sit around and argue about that. And I don't got time. I don't have time for petty bickering when there is a war going on out there, folks. And those issues are minimal compared to that war being waged against every black person in this country. And since they would not personally allow me in their club, but they want me fighting with them, I made my own club. I made my own organization that isn't going to have that bullshit in there. Yes, it is led by trans men, but it's for everybody. It is to bridge the gap that I see all the time when it comes to me moving around all of these different organizations. Be it the competition, be it the lack of acknowledgement of the incredible plight that we have gone through in this nation for centuries. Centuries. Not last week for a week. Not last week for a year. Not within the last 5 years. Not within the last 10 years. Not within the last 50 years. But for centuries. That's 100 years that we have been thrown under the bus. And then we've got all of these other communities throwing us under the bus as well. So, guess what? They can't throw me under the bus with my own organization, can they? I think that is why God laid this out for me. He saw me struggling. He saw me being frustrated by knocking on this door, knocking on that door, knocking on this door, knocking on that door, having them open the door just a peek. Say, oh, you have black skin, come on in. And then if they find out, or if I disclose that I am a black trans man, oh, psst, bam, and shut that door. Now, this is going on in all communities across the nation. Doesn't matter that I served for people's freedoms to be this way. It doesn't matter that I've had a very, very successful career. It doesn't matter that I'm Bob Gibson's son. It doesn't matter that I have struggled most of my life with not exactly belonging to any one particular community unless I chose to. See, none of that matters. But when it comes to the black community, they still treat us like we're a disgrace to the race. And that makes me angry. But not angry in a destructive way. Angry enough that in a constructive way, I'm going to do something about it. Step by step, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, until God shows me the promised land. There may not be an end to that, but I am going to be able to pass the torch after I'm gone to people who understand this issue, that we all Moors in this country, regardless of your gender and regardless of your sexuality, all Moors need to unite. Need to unite. I don't know if anybody else sees it, but we really can't afford to be so divided because of religion, because of bigotry, because of prejudice, because of internal slave mentality, because of all of these things that people choose to be about, thinking that people like me can't see it. I see it. I see it whether it comes out of their mouth or not. I see it whether it comes off their fingers or not. I see it. Silence is consent. It means if you don't speak up and you don't say something against these things, you are consenting to them. But I digress. I still must go back to how much people scream and yell and jump up and down when it isn't black people. That pisses me off. That is creating a lack of empathy in me and apathy in me, because people want us to be about them without them being about us. You know, this administration and this fucked up presidency is starting to stir people who are not Moors in this country. That is when something's going to happen. Be it a revolution, be it a revolution of intelligence, be it a physical revolution. I said this a year ago, or maybe even longer than that, that when this shit starts touching their front door and their back door, then they'll say something. But when it touches our front door and our back door, they say nothing. They do nothing. They see nothing. They know nothing. And this has been our plight since we were brought to this country. So, this was on my mind a couple days ago, and I almost want to, I want to scream and I want to shout and I want to jump up and down that, you know what, life is not fair. But at the same time, you know, I'm also come from the train of thought that God never said life would be fair. But one of my core values that I've known about since I was maybe 20, maybe a little younger, was that I'm about justice. If I see something unjust, it turns my stomach. But I see more injustices around Moors in this country than I do any other kinds of people. But we're the only ones that are really, 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 really pissed off about it. Enough to cause a movement, to cause people to go to vote. There's an election coming up in 2018, and there's many different directions that we can change things as a people. But we're all so busy throwing stones and boulders and bricks and shooting and all this other stuff at each other that we can't unite enough to cause real change, even if it's just some progress. I don't think a total change is going to happen in my lifetime. I don't have a lot of years left. I don't have a lot of time to waste. I don't have the luxury of sitting back and watching to see what happens. I was raised with this, that there's two kinds of people in this world. The kind of person who waits for things to happen, and the kind of person who makes things happen. And I'm one of those kind of people that makes things happen. Even I have to do it alone. I don't care. I've gone both paths. Doing it alone, doing it with others, doing a little bit of both. But I tell you what, I'm getting real sick and tired of these black activists in this country ignoring the LGBTQ+ communities. For what? It's going to take all of us. We only comprise 13% of the population in the United States. So it's going to take all of us. You can talk about being pro-black while being anti-certain kinds of blacks. What the hell is that but hypocrisy? It's hypocrisy to say we only want these kinds of blacks on our team. But those kind, no. They can come along for the ride or whatnot, do this for us, do that for us, but we're not going to stick up for them at all because we're not about them, blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking to the BLM of Greater Atlanta. Yeah, their spokesperson is real fucking loud about how anti-LGBTQ he is, thereby completely neglecting serving our community. Hypocrite. I'm not going to say his name. Y'all can look and find it. Very easy to see. Very easy to see some of his lives where he has specifically said, no, I ain't down for them. So they can come along and help us, but we ain't down for them. The hell, I'm going to help you. If that's how you feel and that's what you think. Why would I do that? Why would any of us do that? Knowing that in a battle, in a crunch, you'll leave our ass hanging in the wind and allow us to get killed behind this shit. And you won't have our backs. Therefore, I ain't exposing my ass to you. Any organization like you in the United States. That includes all of them. Every single black organization in this country that's anti this and anti that black can kiss my ass. And it's extremely frustrating because we need them and they need us. But that isn't the mentality going on. So it forces us to take a position of being segregated from them because they are segregating us. This, if that isn't slave mentality all over the place, I don't know what is. Segregation inside of the Moor communities in the United States. And then segregation, and it's forced segregation. This isn't segregation by choice, people. This is, you know what? If we don't segregate you, we might kill you. Or leave you in a battle to stand alone and get killed. Because that's what they would do. If you were amongst them and you disclosed who you are, they will distance themselves from you. And then there's other organizations that just won't even let you in the door if they know that's where you're coming from. So you have to go incognito and not be true to yourself in order to be a part of their movements, their businesses, their nonprofits, their organizations. That, to me, is a disgrace. I'm not a disgrace. All of that mentality is a disgrace to the human race, and especially to blacks and Moors in this country, is that you got a whole shitload of them, millions of them, looking down their nose at other kinds of black people, other kinds of Moors. Let me give you another example. There is a guy, very smart guy, who does lives on a Fucker Book platform. And he's a Moor. And he teaches some very, very, very great things about our ancient history. And I watched him for a while. And then out of his mouth came the most ignorant thing I've ever heard anybody with any ounce of intelligence in their brain say. Which is, transgender people better stay away from me, because if they chop off their body parts, they'll chop off mine. That was so absurd. And it is so clear while educated up the yin-yang over here, he's completely uneducated over there. He doesn't have shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to us having surgeries. We're not fucking interested in anybody else's body. Why would somebody say that? And it's for that reason that I don't promote him at all. I'll watch him occasionally, see what he's got to say. But again, he is segregating us and saying, I can talk to you, I can even take your money, I can do this, you can be part of my school, as long as you stay way the hell over there, because I'm afraid of you, because I don't understand you, I'm not educated about you, so I can talk shit about you, and you'll either have to take it or stop watching me. And this man is about education of our ancient history. But he's a hypocrite. And he's ignorant of who we are. Now see, gender is somewhat different. Well, it's a lot different than just than sexualities. You know, being gay, lesbian, bisexual, queer. People can't see that. People don't know that. They can suspect that by certain gay men who are what we call back in the day flaming, where it's obvious. But the majority of them, it's not obvious. So people don't know they're there, sitting right next to them. Which is different than for transgender people. There's very little places to hide about our transition, especially trans women. And then there has nerve to be division going on within that community too. People in this country are allowing this to happen. They're forcing it to happen through their actions, through their words. I mean, it's really, really difficult to educate ignorant people who want to stay ignorant. In fact, it's almost a waste of time. Because if you're not open to learning, and you're not open to understanding, and you're not open to, researching about something you do not know, and you're literally almost got a knee-jerk reaction to doing so, you're uncoachable. You're unteachable. And people better look out for you. Well, look out about you. Stay away from you. Because, you one of those kind of people that would, smile at somebody's face and then stab them in the back when they're not around. Or when they are present. That probably sounded a little innocuous and confusing, but in other words, I just recently read and heard of a trans man who he dated this woman who said she was down for his transition, and he thought they were cool, but things didn't work out, and he wanted to be friends with her afterwards. And you know what she did after they broke up? She clocked him. She told everybody he was a trans man. She told everybody he was a tranny. She dogged him out so bad, which means from the onset, she did not accept who he was, but pretended to everybody else, including him, that she was. This is the kind of bullshit nonsense that we have to endure over and beyond being black. It's people like that you gotta look out for. That they will smile in your face. They might even have sex with you. They may do a lot of things for you. And then in the end, they're not being honest about whether they really accept you or not. Gee, I came a long way from what I started talking about in the beginning, huh? That I'm an angry black man. Yes, I am an angry black man who's going to do something about the things I'm angry about. I'm not just blowing smoke. But I saw another post, kind of a kumbaya post, that said, don't be angry, be about love, be about love, be about love. Okay, look, I saw the hippies be all about love in the fucking 60s and the 70s. And all they ended up doing is sitting on the ground, getting high together, doing nothing. And it wasn't until those very same people got really, really pissed off about the Vietnam War enough to cause a movement, a nationwide movement that also included the civil rights leaders of this country. That is when they joined on that bandwagon and created a movement of their own to fight the war in Vietnam and hurt many soldiers in the process. I know some of those soldiers today. still fucked up over that war and the way they were treated when they came back from that war. When you're in the military, you don't got no fucking choice. And when you're drafted, you don't have no choice but to follow military doctrine or end up in prison or flee to another country and risk getting caught and put in prison anyway. See, that's what the civilians didn't understand about that war, and they don't understand about military doctrine, and they don't understand about that. They think the choices that are made during deployment are choices when they're not. They're orders. Kill or be killed. It's how we're trained. But again, until this stuff touches some parts of their lives, they're apathetic about it. If it touches our lives, they're apathetic. If it touches their lives, they're not. I'm seeing this on a little level, small level, and I'm seeing this in a global level, and I'm seeing this on a national level. I'm seeing this all around the world to some degree or another, that people are very, very apathetic when it comes to the plight of Moors in this world. A lot less so about other kinds of people. Yeah, I wish they caused as much of a stink when shit happens to us. But instead, they're watching it as like it's a TV show for entertainment purposes. Not to be taken that seriously. Laugh about it. I got a post blocked because of the asshole at Westin Hotel in Pasadena, California. The racist ass white man who had nerve to go up to a child and ask that child if that child had took a shower. Because their diseases they can get in the pool. And this motherfucker wasn't in a swimming suit. My post got blocked from Fuckerbook because I said, fuck you racist white man. That goes against their community standards that are not being applied the same to racists. My comment got blocked, but every day, all day, them people are calling us nigga, calling us monkey, calling us all sorts of things, and that is okay with their standards because they're a bunch of white assholes, racists, running that company. And they are going to protect the fragile ears of other white people, but not us. I will report somebody about doing some shit like that, and you know what they tell me? They didn't go against company standards, community standards. Just block them. Oh, but when I call out a clearly racist white man and the fucking manager of that hotel, who was clearly in the wrong for threatening to call the police on that black woman who was upset about that white man stepping to her child, I call them out. That goes against their standards. So guess what their standards are? Bigoted, racist, privileged, oppressive. They'll do everything to protect those assholes and don't protect us on that platform. They did the same thing to me that hotel manager did to that black woman who had every right in the world to be so mad that man stepped to her child. I would not have been as, I don't know what I would have been because I've not had children. I do have a lot of non-blood children. And you know what? If anything like that happened around me, I'd end up in jail. I would. To any of my children, if somebody stepped to them like that and asked them if they bathed before getting in the pool. That's what chlorine is for. Idiot. But again, look at who's being protected in this country and who's not. So sometime later this week, I will be making the other announcement, the good news that I have today. But this stuff was so heavy on my mind that I just had to talk about it because I'm so sick of it. I've been seeing this shit for 60 years. I grew up during the Jim Crow era before the laws were changed about fucking bathrooms, white-only bathrooms. My mother drove me and my sister from the Midwest of Florida and back. And we had to pee on the side of the car because we weren't allowed in the bathrooms at the gas station. I got called out my name more than anybody knows in my hometown, saying I led a blessed life. Yeah, huh? And I got called out my name a whole shitload of times. So much that my mother had to go to the school and tell them, if anybody at this school does this to my children, I give my children permission to kick their ass. So we were alone. We didn't have other black people around to have our back. So our mother, Charlene, was the only one who stuck up for us when that crap happened and nobody knew it was happening inside of being a celebrity's son or child or daughter. And I'll be damned if it's not happening right now again in a different way, with different methods, with different terminology, with a different spin on everything, because now they're using the police. But they were using the police back in the 60s too. Go ahead and look at some of the videos of the kind of shit that was going on that the police were doing to black people back in the 60s. They were shooting them down. They were turning on hoses of water, spraying them all over people to knock them down and then arrest them and take them to jail. They were sicking their dogs on them. They're doing it again. Just a different way now. Where is all of the anger about that? Where is... Yeah, people are just sitting by watching this happen because it's not happening to them. But they ain't barking about it. They're watching it like a football game. But again, it's as the pollinator sees it. I'm just one man. I'm just one black transgender man. And a lot of the stuff I say is provocative, scares people, because people don't want to look at the reality of things that are really going on here. They want to talk around it. They are talking around it. And then when something jumps up that doesn't have to do with us, but has to do with other POC, then they open their mouth. Does it ever occur to anybody why that is like that in the United States? Nobody is curious? Do you care? Are you that apathetic that you don't? Well, I do. And I'm going to do something about it. Well, I am doing something about it. It's a done deal. And I'm not going to stop until we get justice, till we get equality, till we get a lot of things that people have been overlooking for centuries. I'm not willing to overlook it. I'm not willing to forgive it and act like it's not happening. I'm not willing to turn the other cheek. I'm not willing to look the other way. How many of you are willing to do that. And then pretend like you're down. I know you're pretending. Do you? You got a conscience? Because if you do, you'll stop and you'll about face. Stop pretending to be tolerant. Stop pretending to be accepting. Stop pretending to understand. Stop pretending. Stop being a fake, superficial. If you're willing to do that, and if millions of people are willing to do that in the United States, we can make change. As long as you're apathetic, no, there's just going to be a sprinkling of us running around trying to wake you up the rest of our life. I have a task, people, and I'm 60 years old. When are the youth going to stop running every which way, focus, and get intentional about what they're doing? They are the majority in this country in the numbers. The millennials. When they ain't gonna stop running around chasing their tail and realize that shit is coming right at them and that they have the majority vote. And I'm not talking about politics votes. I'm talking about numbers of people. If they get it together, they can make change. Not by protesting, but real change. Everybody have a blessed rest of their week, an intentional rest of their week, a motivational rest of their week, and an inspirational rest of their week. And the pollinator is out. Peace.